I'm like, what is, like, I'm just not sure what's happening, and...
In my head, we were literally, like, losing Emerson.
Yeah. So, we're going to tell Emerson's birth story, starting with me basically waking up in the middle of the night. So I was fast asleep. Well, I felt like I knew the day before, but I didn't tell anybody. Because
For whatever reason.
Because...
I just keep this to myself.
No.
Daddy prepared.
Basically, I had kept saying, I think I'm having contractions for weeks. And so every time I would say it, we would just be like, all right, it's nothing.
Well, it's because the way she described the contractions was very, like, it doesn't feel like a contraction. It was like, it just feels like how would you say?
Like a cramp.
Yeah, she wasn't super adamant on being like, I'm having contractions. We never sat down and did the contraction app because we were like, these are contractions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So basically, the day before, I had felt like that super crampy, like, all day. My mom and sister were coming in that day, and I was like laying on the couch watching TV and just like waiting for them to get here. And as I was laying there, I just like felt like that all day. But I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't want to like hype us up again for like the millionth time.
Yeah, we got to a point where we were just so like, this is it? Like, yeah. And it just kept happening. We were like, it's not happening.
So I wanted to go see the lights in Nashville at the Sound Stadium. It's called Glow. So we went to go do that. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be good to do because I'm going to walk, and walking is good. And I'm going to get out. And plus, maybe this will be the last thing I can do before I have a baby. So I kind of had that mindset. So we went to Glow and went to do that. And like the whole time at Glow, I was feeling, you know, my stomach was getting a little bit tighter. But I was like, well, you know, whatever, I'm not saying anything still. So fast forward, middle of the night, it was like 3 a.m. and I woke up to like a really kind of hard cramp, like a bad one. And so the contraction app was on John's phone and it was across the bed. So I was like, well, I'm just going to download it on my phone here. So I was laying in bed and I was kind of hitting the contraction app just to time how far apart they were. And so they were like 7-ish minutes apart. And at that point, it'll tell you, like, you should get ready to go to the hospital just in case. So I got up and I went into my closet and, like, started just grabbing some things, like, last-minute things I wanted to put in my bag, putting, like, my toothbrush and stuff in my makeup bag, everything. And then I woke up John and I was like, hey, like, I'm having contractions, but they're only, like, 7 minutes apart. I think I'm going to take a shower just in case. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. So
I feel like I knew. Even though I said I didn't think it was going to happen, I feel like I knew because it was 5 o'clock in the morning and I went to Walmart to like get snacks to take it to the hospital.
Yeah,
so even though I was like, it's not going to
Walmart.
happen, I think I was trying to calm her down because I did know it was going to happen. Because it's not like me to wake up at 5 and not go back to sleep. I woke up and was like, okay, I'm going to go to Walmart super fast, you know, and it's only like right up the street. So I wasn't just like leaving her to give birth. And
no, it's literally like 2 minutes from our house. So he went to Walmart and then he was like telling everybody that he was awake because he was going to...
I know, I was. It was so weird. I ran
daughters.
into like 2 or 3 people and I was like, oh, my wife's having contractions. And they were like, oh, how far along is she? And then I was like, 9 months. And then they were like, oh, like, I was getting ready to give birth.
So then, yeah, he like went to Starbucks for us to grab us like some bagels and stuff because once you get to the hospital, you can't eat. So I was glad that he went to do that. And I told him when he gets back, I was like, we'll decide if we're going to go. Like, I'm not sure yet. And then when he got back, I was like, we need to go. Because I started to get like actually painful. And I think I just have a high pain tolerance too, so I wasn't positive.
100%.
And he kept telling me that. He's like, you have a high pain tolerance. Like
that's why I think throughout the pregnancy, you weren't like, I'm having a contraction, you know? You were always just kind of like, I think this is a contraction. She 100% has a high pain tolerance, and that was validated when you gave birth, and you were like, well, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, we go to the hospital, we're driving, and as we're driving, like, they're getting worse for sure. Just getting more painful. It's really more of just like a like an uncomfortable thing. We get to the hospital, they check us in, they start to like, you know, monitor my contractions. John and I are feeling like they're getting like less frequent, so we're like, maybe it was false labor. But the nurse ended up coming in and they were like, yep, we talked to doctor on call, like they're impressed with your progression, we're gonna go into the delivery room and we're gonna, you know, you can get your epidural and all that and you're gonna have a baby today. So we were like, great, this is awesome. We were excited, kind of nervous.
What time was that at?
That was at about, I think by the time we got to the hospital it was about 6:30, and then I think we went into the labor room like 8:30 or 9.
It's crazy to think too, the time flies when you're in there, because I can't believe you were there all day.
Entire day.
We were there all day. It's not like we went in at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and then had the baby at 9. We were there from 8:30 to...
Earlier than 8:30. We were there from like 6:30 until, 3 days later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we went in to the labor room and I got my epidural. Honestly, epidural was like, I was really scared for the epidural, but the way that I handled it was, it really wasn't horrible. I just didn't want them to talk about it at all, and like they're putting basically like a thread through your spine or whatever. So like I just didn't want to know about it, and they were kind of trying to say what they were doing, and I was like, just do it.
Needed to give the full breakdown.
Like, just do it, and I don't want to hear about it.
And
I know you never about to say the same thing.
This lady comes in and is like,
Hey, I'm Susie Q. I've been at the hospital for about 6 hours. I've been working here.
No,
and
stop.
I would like to give you this epidural, but I must warn you, I'm in training. I'm not certified to do this yet.
She was like, I'm in my last month of training, and I can do this, whatever. She was like, but it's really your call. She was really nice.
she was a nice lady.
He's not being a jerk when he's saying that, but it was just like, in the moment, honestly, when she said like, I'm not done with my training, my option was her or somebody who's been doing this for 30
years.
So I was like, listen, I'm not even trying to be offensive, but I have horrible anxiety and I need somebody more experienced to do this. She was like,
Super
no problem,
understanding.
I'm just gonna be here,
Super
I'll help out on the side, whatever. So it was great. And they did it. While they were doing it, I was able to like tell them, you know, I can feel it on this side more than this side, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Super easy. Once it was in, can't feel it at all. Everything went numb, and labor wasn't horrible. So basically, things took kind of a turn. I would say, so I was progressing at like a centimeter an hour, which is like normal.
And when you came in, you were at 4 already.
Yeah, I was at 4. So I got to 7 and I stopped. Like they were like, well, we're going to give you Pitocin because, you know, nothing's really happening. And they also decided they were going to do, I don't know what they call them, but they wanted to like switch my positions around. So they put the stirrups up and then they crossed my leg into the opposite stirrup. So my legs were up high.
Which was super uncomfortable.
And crossed. It was uncomfortable for sure because your epidural starts to go just to the side that you're on, so you can feel the other side a little bit. But then they switch you. Well, the first time that they did it, it was like fine, and Emmy was fine with it. Well, when they switched me to the other side, she like wasn't fine with it, and she didn't like that, and it was kind of like messing with her heart a little bit. I would have a contraction and her heart rate would go down, but it would come back up after the contraction, which was good. So they were like, well, we're just gonna have you stop doing this. So then they switched me into a position where they basically dropped the table out from underneath me and then like put me in an upright seated position to kind of let gravity take its natural path. And when they did that, the same thing started happening, but her heart wasn't returning as quickly.
Here's the thing too, I'll say that's stressful, is the staff is comforting you the whole time, but I don't remember a single time one of the staff saying, it's normal for a heart rate to drop like this. Not only that, so there's a heart rate monitor on Allie's stomach that's checking Emerson's heart rate. Well, they didn't explain that the way that she would move around and the placenta would cause her heart rate to not be read by the monitor at all. So in my mind, there were 30-second periods of time where her heart wasn't beating. And I'm like freaking out internally. I'm freaking out.
But he was being so chill because so I started having horrible anxiety, and I was like, you shake naturally during labor. Like all my friends warned me about that. It's normal to shake during labor.
Crazy.
But I was also having really bad anxiety at the same time, and so I think it was like making my shaking worse. I like couldn't get a grip. Like I was like bawling. I was pressing the nurse button. I didn't want to be alone in the room because
no, she didn't. The second the nurse would leave, she'd start to freak out.
I didn't like hearing her heart rate go down on the monitor.
She could hear it on the monitor. That's another thing too. Even though she's not facing the monitor, you can hear the heartbeat on the monitor. So when that stops for 30 seconds, naturally she's freaking out. And again, that is normal for it to not be read for, periods of time. But they didn't explain that. They didn't say that.
But then, so I kept pressing the nurse button, and they came in, and they were like, "No, this is it's okay. We can see your monitor out in the at the nurse's station. Like, if something was wrong, we would come right in. Obviously,
super
of
comforting.
course, whatever. Yeah. So they had put me on oxygen just to kind of get me to calm down, to help her heart rate go up and make sure she was getting enough oxygen. And so I was trying to. At that point, I just closed my eyes and was just trying to focus on my breathing. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want anybody else to talk to me. I just wanted to focus on my breathing. And that was, I was probably 7.5. So basically, all of a sudden, I'm laying there, and a nurse comes flying in screaming my name, Allie, Allie, Allie. And I'm like, what?
This was the same nurse that was super comforting the whole time and wasn't...
And said that everything was fine.
Yes. All of a sudden she comes in and she's like, Allie, and she's trying to move Allie over, and then I'm freaking out, and Allie's probably freaking out too.
I'm confused because I still have my oxygen mask on. I'm thinking everything's fine because I'm calmed down. And she starts turning me side to side, flipping me over. She puts her hand up in me to try to get Emerson's head and touch her and get her heart going again. And I'm what is I'm just not sure what's happening. And
in my head, we were literally losing Emerson.
Yeah. And so
in my head, she wasn't able to handle the stress of everything that was going on.
Yeah,
and it was
especially because the nurse said to us if something was wrong, we would come running in, and then she did that. So my John was standing there, and he was trying to just stay calm for me. He was literally such a champ. He did not just so calm the whole time. And he said to me, he was no matter what happens, we have each other. And when he said that,
awful
I was
decision.
Bad to say, but he had good intentions with it.
The worst thing to say afterward is I said it and I was immediate regret.
I was don't say that, and I immediately started crying and grabbed him, and I just was oh my god, I don't know what to do. I can't see the monitor. I don't know what's happening. No one's saying anything. I asked them to turn the monitor down because I didn't want to hear the heart rate because it was stressing me out. And this woman has her hand in me and is trying to get my daughter's heart going again. So at that point, a bunch of other nurses come in. They're kind of figuring out what they're gonna do. They're in the room calling doctors in other rooms, telling them to send more people in and bring certain things in, and they're
here's
trying
the thing
to
too. When they
call
came
doctor.
in, their vibe was, I think they try to be as professional as they can and not really convey their attitudes towards the whole operation.
They looked
but they came in and they had looks on their face oh shit.
Yeah.
And it's funny because later on, after we had Emerson, I asked them, what was the deal? When y'all came in, y'all's vibe was not good. And she was we were preparing to take you into, the C-section.
The C-section, an emergency C-section to get her out. So basically, my doctor, who's amazing, she was at a concert
so
up the road. And she wasn't going to come to deliver because she was with her kids. And I was I'm fine with delivering with the doctor on call. It's all good. Well, they called her right away. They had the doctor on call come in. They called my doctor. Doctor on call started to prepare to deliver because I guess I had dropped. Emerson had dropped ready to be come out, and I had gotten fully dilated within 30 minutes. It was quick. And so when that happened, hindsight, now that we've talked about it with them, they think that it just kind of put her into shock and then messed with her cord a little bit. So she wasn't getting as much oxygen as she needed, and her heart was it went below 60. which I don't really know what that means, but they like basically said to us, we do have to tell you like her heart rate did drop below 60. At the time I'm like, I don't know what that means, but like let's just get
I do remember them saying if it stays under 60 for a certain amount of time, like they're giving you a C-section.
Yeah. So they called my doctor. She, being the amazing person she is, she literally
She's so cool. She changed my perspective on like medical professionals. She wasn't even like, it wasn't even just how professional and calming she was. She was cool.
Yeah.
She was so cool. Cool in a sense of she did calm everything down, and cool in a sense of she shows up in her normal clothes with her hands on her hip, and she just kind of like, we're going to have a baby today.
Like,
and when she came, vibes completely changed. It went from stressful to like, oh, you know, this is no big deal. This is a walk in the park, you know?
Yeah, so she like came in. She kind of was like snappy to the nurses, like, why are we not like ready to go? Why is she not?
I said to the nurses afterwards, I was like, whoa, she's a little sassy, isn't she? They were like, oh, you know, every doctor has their attributes. Like, yeah, like that's kind of her attribute. Her vibe was totally, which I hope she doesn't watch this. Her vibe was totally like, you guys are dumb. Like, what are you guys doing?
Well, I honestly kind of felt that way myself, though. Like, when everything, like, shit hit the fan, I was like, why are things not moving faster? Like, I would like to get her out.
There seems to be a lot of sitting around.
Yeah, there's no way to help her while she's inside of me still. The only way that I can help her and help her heart or her oxygen or anything is if she's out here. So, like, let's go. But yeah, my doctor like had her husband literally leave the concert with her kids and her, drop her off at the hospital. She showed up with her normal clothes on and was like, let's go, we're delivering this baby, get her pushing, I'm gonna go change. Came in, and we pushed her out, and it was quick. I mean, I personally felt like delivery for me wasn't bad at all. I don't know if it was that I have high pain tolerance or I had such an adrenaline rush because I just wanted to get her out so badly and help her, and I was like literally having the worst trauma happen because I thought I just carried and bonded with this girl for 10 months and was about to lose her. So it was just extremely emotional moments.
Cry.
Yes, no. I was crying a lot then, but yeah, so she came out, everything was fine.
In like 4 rounds of pushing.
It was like 4 rounds of pushing, yeah.
25 minutes max from starting pushing that this girl came out. It was so quick.
And like, even when they would not tell me like, okay, we're gonna push, I would look at them and be like, can I push? We're pushing, like, let's go. I just wanted her here. But yeah, and then once she came out, they put her on my chest, and I heard her make like a sound, and I just was like, is she okay? Like, I couldn't get my eyes open because I still had my oxygen mask on, and my eyes honestly were like rolling into the back of my head. And I just like couldn't even open them to like look at her. But I just kept asking if she was okay, is she okay? And everyone was like, she's fine, she's perfect, she's good. And they took her over to like a little area to, I think they needed to like suction her and stuff. I didn't really see everything.
Yeah, they took her over to whatever that little station is called.
Area.
Yeah, and did the little suction in her mouth and stuff, and I was just staring
I
at
told
her.
him to go with her because I just wanted him, and I was like yelling to him across the room, like making sure she was okay.
Yeah, she good. I was totally crying too because I was so relieved.
Yeah.
Because gosh, there's a million different things that could happen like in those circumstances, and I had no idea what was gonna happen.
And everything had been so calm and easy the entire time, and it was literally just like the last hour that all of a sudden it was like everything took a turn for the worse, and we were like, what are we gonna do? Like, we weren't really prepared for that.
Yeah, and again, there's a lack of transparency between what's going on, you know?
Because their job's to also keep you calm, and like, even if the worst possible thing is happening, to keep you calm. So they're talking to us, telling us to be calm, but the look on their faces are totally different, and there's so many of them in the room, and they're like, yeah, we saw, we're coming, and they're calling other doctors, and so yeah, it was definitely stressful, but once she was here, everything was fine, and my doctor came multiple times to check on us.
While Allie was pushing, this doctor was so chill. It was amazing to watch. It was nothing short of amazing. And they do this thing when the baby's like head is coming through. which is like the most stressful time on the baby. And she had her finger and she was just rubbing her little head like this, like going like that to the baby. And she said something like
just
she's like petting the squishy or something. Like she was so chill. But, you know, as professional as she was, you could see a little bit of her personality shining through. And that was just, it was so amazing to watch. It changed.
He watched. I didn't think he was going to watch, and I didn't want him to watch.
And, you know, my, like, preconceived notion prior to it happening was, this is going to be gross. Honestly, I thought it was going to be gross. I thought it was going to smell bad. I thought it was going to look bad. I thought it was going to sound bad. I thought all of my senses were going to be, like, bad. And none of those happened. I was never like, oh, it smells in here. It didn't smell like anything, surprisingly. And seeing it, you were so much more concerned with your daughter being healthy that seeing it happen is like relieving. I felt myself feeling relieved, not stressed or nauseous or like I was going to pass out. I felt myself just getting, you know, a sense of relief knowing that everything was going how it should.
Yeah. So that is how Emerson made her crazy arrival here.
Oh.
She wanted to give us a little bit of a scare. Just keep us on our toes at the end.
Yeah, and you know, you stay at the hospital for 2 more days after she's born, and we got to experience the sleep deprivation, and I'm sleeping on this little uncomfy bed, and all you care about though is knowing that your kid's okay, because in the moment of her heart's fluctuating, you know, as humans, all we do is tend to imagine the worst happening.
Yeah.
So
now we get to have her keep us on our toes for the rest of her life. Literally.
She's in there racked out.
She is just asleep.
Sleeping. We discovered last night the TV doesn't help her to sleep.
She hates the TV.
So we keep the TV off. But
it's been good.
That's it. We lack the professionalism to know how to conclude this video. And
that concludes this video.
Yeah, I guess so. That's how it happened. That's how our little neck it was born.